What's up everyone, John Rettinger from TechnoBuffalo here. Timing an Apple laptop or desktop purchase is oftentimes a risky affair. You never know if you're getting right at the end before an update, especially if you're buying one of these every few years. You want to make sure you've got the latest and greatest technology that's going to hold you until your next purchase. So in an effort to help make these decisions a little bit easier, about a week and a half ago I put out an Apple laptop buying guide, and in that video I promised a desktop version. Well, this is the fulfillment of that promise, so let me go ahead and tell you when I think a good time is to buy your Apple desktop. Alright, so let's start with the most popular Apple desktop. Of course, I am talking about the iMac. Right now, in early December, we're about mid-cycle for a refresh, which would put a potential update around the March-April timeframe. So if you're thinking about getting an iMac for the holidays or in the next month or two, now is a very good time. If we do see updates in that March to April timeframe, chances are they're going to be very minor. I think we'll see an update to the Intel Core family of chips. We may perhaps finally see a long rumored iSight HD camera. And there's been some speculation for quite some time now about touchscreen panels making their way into iMacs. And I think that Apple really shut that down when they gave a preview of the next operating system, OS X Leopard. And they mentioned that touchscreens really weren't conducive at all to laptops. And that's why they made sort of a widget-friendly mouse version of this almost iOS experience that we've seen on the iPad and the iPhone. If it doesn't make sense to have a touch panel on a mobile product like a laptop, I think it makes very little sense from an end user standpoint to have it on a desktop. I think there's very little value add, and I don't think Apple is going to make updates just because they can, not to mention the added cost that touch panels would most definitely bring with them. So if you think there's going to be a giant update, I wouldn't cross your fingers. It probably will be very minor. So don't worry about touchscreen updates. Although Apple has not really given us all the features of Lion, I really assume that touch sensitivity is not going to be one of the key features. So if you're looking to get an iMac, thumbs up. Now is a great time to do so. So now let's go ahead and move on to the littlest of the Apple desktops, the one that's updated the least frequently, or one of the least frequent. Let's talk about the Mac Mini. We are in a mid-cycle refresh again for the Mac Mini, which, as I just mentioned, is not updated nearly as often as its iMac counterpart. If we do see an update, it'll probably be at some sort of desktop event, which I would peg at the end of March, early April timeframe as well. We just saw a complete case redesign, so I don't think we're going to see any sort of giant updates to the Mac Mini line. The most probably logical update that we might see is the new Core series of chips making their way into the diminutive little Mac to give it a bit more power, most likely the Core i3 chip. There's also the potentiality that we might see the solid-state drive found in the MacBook Air, where the solid-state modules are actually soldered right onto the motherboard in the Mac Mini, making it perhaps a smaller package, requiring less room for cooling. That's a potential upgrade. Another likely candidate is an up in the minimum amount of RAM. Apple currently ships the Mac Minis with a minimum of 2 gigs of RAM, offering 4 gigs rather for a $100 upgrade. Perhaps that $100 will be given gratis to Apple's dedicated users. But for right now, at least the next few months, now is a very good time to ask for or go out and purchase your very own Mac Mini. So now let's go and talk about the big daddy of the Apple desktops. Let's chat about the Mac Pro. Like the other two I just discussed, the Mac Pro is right now in a mid-cycle refresh, although this guy hardly ever gets an upgrade. We're lucky if we see something every year and a half, would be even considered frequent for the Mac Pro. We just saw an update to potentially 12 cores. Oftentimes with a computer this powerful, the software doesn't catch up to the hardware, meaning the software that's being written and available doesn't nearly come close to taking advantage of all the cores and the power that the Mac Pro offers. So even if there was a hardware upgrade, chances are the upgrades and the improvements to the end user really wouldn't be experienced to its full potential. So if you're worried about a Mac Pro update, I would not expect one of those for quite some time, perhaps in the 6-month time frame or longer. Now is a great time to go pick up a Mac Pro. Even if you're looking at a baseline Mac Pro, you're getting a machine that's going to be fully upgradable, RAM, hard drive space, and a few other specs, and it's really going to be a fantastic machine. So no worries at all about purchasing a Mac Pro. So let me recap. Now in early December is a great time for an iMac. It is a great time for a Mac Mini, and it's a great time for a Mac Pro. If you're waiting to get a laptop, you might want to check out my laptop buyer's guide. There'll be a link to it down below. Now might not be the best time to jump on the Apple laptop bandwagon, but if you can deal with working on a Mac sitting at your desk, a desktop option is going to be fantastic. I'm John Rettinger from TechnoBuffalo, and I will see you, or at least talk to you, in the next video. I actually filmed this video twice because the first time my eyebrows were so crazy I couldn't put that online. Probably a little bit of oversharing too much information. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. What's up everyone? John Rettinger from TechnoBuffalo here. Buying an Apple computer can really be a